Okay, before we get started here, this is Mr. Ringo. Hi, Ringo. Hey, buddy. We've had him for about 2 months or so. Huh. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Huh. So he's going to be in here. So if you hear a dog making noises, it's Mr. Ringo. Hi, Ringo. Okay, so this was a cone '04, which was held for about 10 minutes. And there are cones in here. I finally got some low fire cones. Um, it probably is a little bit hotter than what I thought was going to happen because I was in here when it was at peak temperature and it was like heading toward like 1950, and cone '04 is like 1945, because my kiln's been firing a little bit on the lower side because the elements are getting old. So anyways, it looks a little bit overfired, which is in a good way because it's terracotta. It's all terracotta in here. I have three different kinds, and I'm going to try to differentiate between them. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but you know, overfiring terracotta is actually a good thing because it will, become more. It'll tighten up, become a little bit more vitrified, which isn't saying much for terracotta because you might go from something like 8% porosity to 5%. But the clays that I have in here, I'm going to be interested to test them to see how they do because we'll get into it. But I have three different ones, and one of them says it's about 5% porosity at cone '04, and you can push it to like cone '02, I think. So 5% porosity is not too bad. I don't know that I feel good about functional wear if the bottom is not glazed, but let's take a look at how this came out anyway. We'll do this one first. This I have on a stilt because I knew this would run. This is Spectrum Iceberg, and this is a planter. I was trying to basically just keep the planter, see if I can get this off. It did run. I expected it to do that. I put a lot of glaze in here. I've tested this before only on flat pieces, but it's kind of like a float glaze, and I think it's a little bit more of a green glaze on white. I've not really used it on white before. It's actually a really, really nice glaze. The ring light is really reflecting that, but it looks like a blue float glaze in stoneware. So it kind of has a lot of potential on terracotta. I really like it. So I don't know if this is going to sit flat. I might have to grind that slightly. I have a base for this under here. Now this I'm pretty sure is Laguna EM106 because I had a lot of that. I still have one bag left of that. I don't like it because it's very prone to warping and cracking, which terracotta is in general, but this was if you do something thin, it'll just warp on you while it's drying, even if it's covered. I tried. I'm not into clays that fight me. So if a clay body wants to do that, I usually just try to find another clay body because there's plenty out there. But this is easy for me to get. So this is just kind of like a thrown and altered planter. It has that on both sides in the drip. So I wanted the drip, but I think I just barely lucked out. I'll have to see if it'll sit flat. I don't have a flat surface right here. So that is Spectrum Iceberg, which is a cone '06 to '04. So it is definitely a little bit overfired in here because this, once we get to the cone, which is over there, I'll go ahead and take this other piece. Now, this is a bird feeder, and I did a stoneware method, which is, I'm going to show you, but the top was not attached. So this is glazed on. I wanted to see if this would work in low fire. There's a potter, I think her name is Daria. I'm subscribed to her channel now. She does this in stoneware where she makes the bottom and the top, but does not attach them in the wet stage or the green stage. And just that way you can paint glaze on for one thing, and you can also glaze inside and out easily. But it's very tedious to try to get a top of a bird feeder attached. I don't think I've ever done it. I've always done it in two pieces and created some kind of thing where they tie together. So this is glazed on, and I use the same Iceberg by Spectrum because, let me move this, because I knew it was going to be really runny because it's always been runny at 04. So let's see, okay. I feel like I should hold this underneath. So it's got all kinds of bubbles on it. It's very cratered. So I think I'll probably just sand it down and kind of pretend like I wanted that, but it's definitely problematic. It's got little glass bubbles. It's very scary looking. I think I can just sand it and use it as a bird feeder because it is a bird feeder for outside. So, but it definitely glazed on. I don't know if I feel good about the attachment. I'm surprised that it did bubble this much. The top has some. The top is much thinner than the bottom. So I think I can just sand it. It's fine. I don't want the birds to get cut. I'll just have to wear a mask, and that is a very sharp bubble right there. It's a nice glaze, but I don't know. I guess it's just overfired in here. I'm not sure if I would want to use it because I kind of like a little bit of an overfired 04. I don't like it to be just an 04. It's a nice looking clay, but it's very orangey. You can push this clay up to like cone 1, I've heard. I've never done that. But this is kind of ugly, but it kind of, I don't know, it looks kind of outdoor with the sharp bubbles. And there's all sorts of like little like glass film there that it's a bubble. It literally is a bubble right there. So I'm going to have to be careful with that. But it did work. It's staying together. So, and it's probably not even big enough to be a bird feeder. It's probably for small birds. So we'll see. I'll probably try again and use a different glaze. This glaze I've had for years, long time. Because I used to do some slip casting in low fire. But it kind of worked. I'm just going to have to sand it down. So we'll see. Okay, so this is EM 106 also. Laguna EM 106 clay. Now this is what is called cuerda seca. And I talked about this in previous videos where you take black iron oxide. It's a little bit sharp this time. And you add oil, which is, in this case, it is sesame seed oil, and then some frit 3124. And there's no exact recipe. This is from a channel called Anna's Clay House, and I had already put the link to this in the previous video. So basically you take that and you're using it like ink, and you can get very fine lines, which I didn't want this time. I wanted it to be chunkier. And then you have to use like a bottle to pipe out. This is all stroke and coat. You pipe it out through the whole thing. That's why it looks kind of inconsistent. Now this was a very difficult piece to do, even though it's a really simple design. I realize now that doing all the way around a piece is almost impossible because you're going to smudge this. Your cuerda seca lines never really dry because it's oil. So if you can see, like right here, there's a little bit of it right there because you smudge. It's very easy to smudge. Like if you're painting this side and you're trying to hold it, it's almost impossible not to smudge it. So it would be better to just do like a design here and a design here, and then do like a glaze to fill in, the blank space. And this kind of came out ugly, quite honestly, but I also made a base for it. So that's that. And it's mostly, I think it's My Blue Heaven is the background. I use almost the whole bottle, a little 2-ounce bottle. I forget what the other ones are, like Orange Appeal, that's Ruby Red. I don't know. So I very rarely fire stroke and coat at all, never mind at low temperatures, but it's okay. I don't know. I will try again. I think the clay body really, really matters too with the stroke and coat because it definitely shifts the color, although the white came out really good. So let's see what else. Okay, so this is a different clay body. Matter of fact, let's compare the two. So we have EM 106 by Laguna, and this is APS Red by New Mexico Clay. Now, you can order their clay through the mail, like most suppliers have. It's actually cheaper for me to order it from them through the mail than it is my local one, which is 2 hours away, if I had to order it through the mail from them, which I very rarely do, but they're very pricey through the mail. Whereas you can get clay from New Mexico Clay, I mean, depending on the price per pound, it can be like $1 a pound, even with the shipping. So I recommend looking into them. I've liked every clay body I've gotten from them. I have a stoneware one that's like a chocolate color that's really, really nice. And I'm using them kind of as a backup because they have some really interesting clay bodies. But it's much darker and kind of richer looking to me, anyways, at cone 04. And you can fire it to 06, and I think they say maybe to 02. I don't remember what the firing range is. But it, EM 106 is much more orangey at cone 04 than this, and I like this better. So I like this. This is a much richer look. Okay, hold on, put this back. Okay, so what this is Pete Pennell Forgiving Slip, and it's white slip. I have a test tile down here that we can compare what it looks like with clear. Now, this is the clear glaze recipe, but it has a small percentage of black iron oxide in it. And I have shown that, I think, in a previous video. My black iron oxide, no matter what I do, I've sieved it, I've used a blender on it and everything. It's still, I don't know if it'll pick up well on the camera, but it's speckled. It has stayed speckled. I read that that can happen with it. So I don't know if there's, the black iron oxide I have is very old. I know that. It's from a potter who went out of business. So it could be like 30, 40 years old. I don't know if that matters. It just sort of suspends in here. It looks kind of nice. It's not really the look I want, but I do like it. And it's tending to be mostly on the inside. Like anytime you have a heavier like metal, it'll just pull down in here. And I have the design on the outside. So the slip is white, but with black iron oxide, it's like an amber glaze. I think that's what was done traditionally with redwood to do like an amber glaze. Now, one of the benefits is it will tint on the bare clay to a much redder, like give you that real redware look, which is very hard to achieve. And I don't actually know what this clay looks like with just clear until we get down the next level. But I also used Colors for Earth Dutch Blue underglaze for the design. And I wanted to do like a quick, loose design. I'm trying to get away from being so tedious about surface decoration. It's really hard to do. Once you like teach yourself, well, I mean, if maybe you've taken classes or whatever. I've never taken classes on surface decoration formally. But once you like take a class or teach yourself something, you can become very tedious, and trying to get back to that looseness is very hard. You have the looseness before you take a class usually. And then once you learn and you throw and you do all this stuff, you can become very tedious. And that's how I've been doing this. So I tried to take a brush and just go fast. And of course I was like, well, that's too fast. But you get, like, see how this is a thicker, so much heavier. The funny thing is when you do that in the greenware stage, because this was all done in greenware, it looks horrible. You're like, well, that's going to be bad. But then it comes out looking really interesting. And the Dutch blue shifted to a green, like a teal, which is what I wanted, with the amber glaze. So then I also did a real loose design on the outside. And I really like it. I mean, I would probably do a different design, but I tried to be fast and loose about the circles, and I even went back over them. Not something I would normally do. So what else can I say about this? Let's see, I wanted to, this clay is the one that's supposed to be like 5% or less absorption. So that's a very high ring for for terracotta. I'm impressed with this clay. I really like it. It was super easy to throw. It has fine sand in it, which you can't tell. That actually prevented me from buying it originally because I don't like clay with sand in it for functional wear. They talk about this being good for functional wear. So I was really nervous that it was going to be like a sandpaper experience throwing it, but you can't even tell that there's sand in this. So I'm pretty impressed by it. And what I'm also doing, so I put my stamp on at the greenware stage, bisque fire. This was, everything in here was bisque fired to 05. I didn't use any wax in this firing because what I wanted to do was to dip it in this was in the amber, and then wipe away so that some of the clay will have absorbed the glaze. This was kind of an afterthought. Originally, I was going to wax, but the idea being, will the clay take in some of the glaze and create more of a vitrified effect? It'll be somewhat less absorbent. Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't know if that does anything. If any like glass material got in here. This glaze is mostly frit. It's frit 3195. I think it's like 70 something percent. So I don't know if it really took in anything as opposed to if it was like a silica glaze. But that's what I'm going with right now. I want to see if it will cause it to be a little bit less absorbent because I don't like glazed bottoms. Some people really do, but I mean, the whole idea is you want to see the clay body. I want to do pots that have, you know, that's kind of like the double-edged sword of terracotta is you want to see the terracotta, but also you don't want to have a pot absorbing water and then you're going to get like mold growth or something. So I would like to be able to like do even mugs or something that you can see the clay, but probably that's not real practical. I have like jars in here that I tried that with that wouldn't go through like dishwashers and stuff. So let's keep going and see what else we have. So this is not the camera. It's basically like a bell or a wind chime base. So I was talking about this glaze last time. This is called Moonlight by Spectrum. I had a bad feeling that it was going to be a different color than what I wanted. It's not a bad color. It's silvery bronze. It's supposed to be like a gold hue. Now, Spectrum, like a lot of other companies, will show their samples on white clay. So if you're using terracotta, you pretty much have to assume that you're not going to get that result because it's going to shift the color. It's going to, I mean, sometimes it can be an advantage. I believe this is also APS red. It may be Stan's red. I didn't keep track of, I only know like certain pieces what the clay is. I used up some of the clay that I had so that I could start over with the one I like the most. This has a place to hold. I have it, it's in here. It's going to be like a bell, but also like a wind chime. I'm not sure if I'll do the bell part, but I bought some of these. You can see the color difference. These are called temple bells. And let's see. So they are these little metal bells that you would see like in India temples. So I was hoping it would be more of a golden to match. It's not a bad look, actually. I might just spray paint these to be more that color, the silver bronze. But it didn't run. So this is supposed to be an 05 glaze. This was an 04 that was held for 10 minutes. So I was expecting it to run and shift color. And so it shifted color, but honestly, it's not a bad color. It's just not what I thought I was going to get. It's not gold. It's just the way it is, but that's the idea. And these would hang, I have 6 of these bells that are going to hang down here because there's holes. There's 6 holes there. So that is Moonlight by Spectrum. And it's a 05 glaze. So they say, it says it works better at 05. And we have the cone, which is a very, very hard 04. Very hard 04. So I would say it's like an 03 probably, which is really what I would rather be doing. I'd rather be doing 03, but only reason I'm doing 04 is because I'm using some commercial glazes that don't really want to go that high. I eventually might just be doing 03. I don't know right now, but I would like to do terracotta. So I'm gonna stop here and get rid of these shelves and we'll start again. Okay, so the next level is not the most interesting. Now I have a couple of samples. There's actually more than a couple, but I made a glaze called PB Matte Majolica or Mayolica, however you want to say it. Unfortunately, it is not very white. I had it a little too thin for this, and it's not matte. It's actually glossy. So that is a disappointment. Because maybe it just needs to be thick, because I also made it in a tint, which is sage green mason stain. I forget what the number is. It's like 6500, I think. MS 6500. Now it's kind of blue. It's like a really gross, boring blue. I really wanted more of like a sage or maybe olive green. But that's one of the things about, the clay body can really shift the color. And this is on APS red. I'm hoping to just use APS red in the future. That's by New Mexico clay, because it is a very rich red, as you can see. Not liking the glaze very much. I'm kind of disappointed. Now for the white one, I did make like a 2,000 gram batch of it, because I needed to dip the pieces that are in here. That's the thing about when you don't normally do these firings, you kind of have to, it's like you have to take a risk, because you can't just keep doing firings and hope that you can figure out the glaze. You kind of have to just go for it, because I don't usually do 04 glaze firing. So I tried to be as conservative as possible. There's only a few pieces that have that on it. That's just a sample of the moonlight. I wanted to have some reference tiles. So here is, this is, by the way, I don't know if I said what the glaze base was. So this is the amber glaze. The glaze base is Pete Pinnell clear, and the slip is Pete Pinnell forgiving slip. So I went all in with the Pete Pinnell stuff. Very reliable. He's right. I mean, you can put the Pete Pinnell slip on bisqueware, and it works. I've tried it. So this is the same glaze. This is the iron that we talked about. It has the speckling. Can you see the speckling in there? So there's little like bits of iron that suspend, and I don't really know if I should get new iron or not. And then this is it just in the clear, so you can see, and then there's a little bit of where there's no glaze at all in the middle. So I just dipped it that way. It gives you an idea of the glazes, and it's a pretty thin clear, which I like. But gives you can see what the slip looks like with any type of painting. So I really like the idea of using it as a color, and to shift whatever underglaze or maybe even colored slip, because you could also make Pete Pinnell slip in a color and do that as well, which I might try. I mean, that's kind of like the holy grail of pottery, really, is using slips. I would love to do that, so I might try that. Now the Majolica glaze, which is supposed to be a matte, I tried some underglaze. So this is underglaze in the Majolica fashion on top of the glaze. There's a lot of reference material that you can find about stuff like this. You really do need to experiment, though. They all worked. So some of them are colors for earth and some of them are Amico velvet. But of course, the glaze itself has more of a modeling effect. So it doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like, but it's okay. And then this is just the Spectrum iceberg, just so I have a reference and you can see how much that pulls and runs, at least at this temperature. So this is EM 106, that I can tell. It actually looks almost purple with this. This is the amber glaze on top of it. So I did some, it's basically like a Mishima or Sgraffito type of a thing. So I kind of like the way that the iron glaze will mute the colors. It kind of gives more of an antique effect for the hummingbirds. I just free-handed this so that, this wasn't, I tried to be simple about this design so that I didn't mess it up. And they also, because I'm testing things, I don't want to put a ton of time into something and then find out that there was a glaze incompatibility or whatever. But it all came out. It actually is probably the nicest thing so far. I really like the way these are all colors for earth underglazes. So they're the color strokes, not the color concentrates. I could probably use either one. The purple did shift to a more of a brown, but it's okay. I mean, you can still tell. But I really like the way that the iron glaze with I think it's 3% black iron. It might be 4%. I don't know. I can tell if anybody wants to know that, I can tell you. But it's peat Pinot clear with black iron oxide in it. That's all it is, and it makes the clay body so much darker, so that the lines look a lot darker. I think I like that look a lot. But of course, you then get a yellow background on your slip, which is white slip. So it's this effect, you know. It's this white slip with basically like a celadon on top of it is basically what it is. So comes out good, but it is almost like a purple on this clay body, which I'm not really going to be using this clay body anyways. So let's see what else we have. This has a base down here somewhere. So this is probably peat Pinot clear also. It's a face planter. Yeah, I think it is. Kind of forgot some of the stuff I did. So it might be the peat Pinot slip. There's two slips that I'm using, but I tried to do it so that I could see the clay body underneath and it had more of a rustic effect. And then after bisque firing it, I wiped it over with black underglaze to give a more antique look to it. It's fine. There's a base down here also that's just a white base that goes with it, but he's fine. It's too glossy, I think, for me. I wish it wasn't as glossy. So I suppose I could put clear on and then wipe it off, and maybe it wouldn't be as glossy. But let's see what else we have. This goes to that the bell or the wind chime. I just made something to hang down, two pieces that would be maybe to tie together. That would, for the bell. And those are on the stilts pretty well, so I'll do that later. And then I wanted to make some, I think these are all Stan's Red. Now Stan's Red is by High Water. Some artsy potters use Stan's Red. It's a very good clay. I have absolutely no complaints about it whatsoever. Except for the price. It can be really expensive to buy. I don't know why. It's like almost $1 a pound. That's why I'm ordering from New Mexico clay, because it's almost the same price. I have to drive 2 hours to get Stan's Red. There's two suppliers. There's either High Water or Laguna that I can get to, and they're both 2 hours away. So anyways, it's a really nice clay. It's a beautiful color. And this is it with just clear on it. And this is actually the Amico low fire clear, so that I could do just planters, just clear. And then, they're just basic planters. There's nothing. I ended up not glazing them. I was going to do some glazing on these. And the nice thing about terracotta is you can go back and decide to glaze it again. So these are going to be just some boring terracotta. And these are all in Stan's Red. I had some of this left, which was from 50 pounds that I got. And it had gotten fairly dry. So I decided to just make a bunch of small terracotta pots and not get too involved with it and just make some little planters. Who doesn't need a little terracotta pot, huh? Okay, so that is pretty much the middle, except for the cone, and it was another obliterated 04, so it's probably like an 03. I probably should get some 03 cones. All right, let's try the next level. Okay, it's actually getting kind of hot in the middle. I was surprised that it was as hot as it was in the middle. I'm not sure if terracotta can handle it, but we'll pull out a few more pieces. This is the base to this piece from earlier, and this is hot. So let me see. Let's see. It's the same. It's EM 106 again. Not a clay that I recommend, by the way. Now they do have one that has sand in it, which might be better. So that's just that. I don't know if I like it unglazed on the outside like that. Probably should have just glazed the whole thing, which I still could do, I guess. But it's fine. That looks a lot better. So I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the way I should have done that. It was an experiment. And that's Iceberg again by Spectrum. So this is the base to the face planter. Let's just see. So that goes with that. Set him right there. This is just another base for one of those planters that has a glaze on to catch the water. I did some candle bowls. I believe this might be the APS red. And that has the Moonlight by Spectrum in it. So the idea being a candle inside and the flame will flicker. I'll probably use this for myself because I really like unglazed on the outside. So that is a candle bowl. This piece is something that I don't even really want to say, but it is for my dog that died last year. I made her a marker, which I never showed, but it was done in Cuerda Seca technique. And this is going to hold it. So this is actually Stan's red. So it's going to go in the ground like that. And the marker, which is pretty large, it will hang from here. So that's for that. And that came out really good, actually. And let's see, we have a little angel here. She's kind of warm. So what I'm doing here, I really like the idea of doing like a bear sculpture. Now I did burnish this somewhat, which you can see. I can't hold it the way I want to hold it. This is Moonlight by Spectrum again. So this was a separate piece that I wanted to glaze on so that it looked very finished in the end. See how it's glazed all the way around there? And I wasn't sure if it would, number one, stay attached, and number two, I thought it would slide a little bit. It did neither one, so it came out perfect. A little angel sculpture. So I might attempt to do more stuff like that in the future because it's really hard to do whatever you want to put there. It's hard to do it so that it looks finished in the end if you're going to glaze it. But there's a ton of stuff that you could do with that idea as long as the glaze melted enough that it would stick. Because I don't know that low fire glazes melt enough that they would be good for this. I don't know. It's new to me. Stoneware, you can do it for sure. But anyways, that's Stan's red, though, burnished. And that Stan's red, you can kind of see, I think grog is in there. Really, really fine grog, which kind of, it's nice, a nice look, a gardeny look. Okay, and then no idea what the clay body. It's probably EM 106 because it's very smooth. It is a very smooth clay. Unfortunately, some problems with the glaze. And I'm using this as a candle bowl too. This is called Siebert White. I think it's from Glaze. It definitely was too thick, and I poured it in because I've only made like a really small test batch of it. It did bubble, or it has something going on. Some pieces that probably it needed to be sieved out. I think I made several pieces with this too, so might be a problem. There's like some chunks there, but this is just going to be for a candle, like a 3-wick candle. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but it's a very nice glaze though. I really like that sort of farmhouse red and white look. So we'll see. I'll probably make a larger batch of it and make sure it's sieved out really well. Kind of surprised that didn't melt. Can you see that on the camera? There's little, like, probably, I don't know, crystals and things that formed in the glaze. I don't know what it is. Weird though. And that's basically it for that shelf. I had a piece of a Kiln furniture. That was for the angel to put her head on so she wasn't so tilted. Okay, next level. Okay, I just took a peek. I actually forgot to press record. Can we see down there? Probably should go a little bit further down. By the way, let's see if I can see if we can get. There's Ringo. See, he's sleeping now. He's bored with what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm gonna readjust. Let's maybe go a little bit closer. Hold on. Like that. I don't know. Now I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so I did some more. These are candle jars. Because, you know, in terracotta, I'm kind of thinking that's what I'm going to lean more into is like candle stuff. And this is done in Stan's red. Let me just go over with the camera a little bit. And that has the moonlight with spectrum in it. It's a nice glaze. I actually would recommend it. I'm not that big on metallic glazes, actually, but they have their uses. They're not food safe, so there's that. So these are just for candles, though. So I like that. I like that gardeny look. Stan's red is really nice at this temperature. It's a really nice rich color. It has a little bit of speckling with the. Kind of makes me want to use this now instead of the one from New Mexico, but because it is pretty nice, I have to say. It's a very, very rich red color. So this is the APS red. And this is supposed to be matte Maiolica. Can you see that? So it actually is not as red as the Stan's red, actually. Still, they're both really, really nice anyways. It's kind of hard to decide between the two of them, which one is better. So the matte Maiolica, I don't know why it's glossy. It did say that it's like a satin at certain temperatures, a little higher up, but the lowest you can fire it to is 04, and this is probably closer to like an 03 because I held it. Hold on, let me get the. This is going to be it's a salt jar, and the way I wanted to do this would be so that, because mostly when I make salt jars, I do it so that the spoon is this way, which makes sense. Like I would put this that way. But some spoons are really thick here. So you have to make a really wide opening for them to go into. And they usually will come all the way down and hit the surface that it's sitting on. So past that. So it's hard to do these thicker spoons. You can also make spoons. I'd probably make them out of porcelain or something, not terracotta. But so the way I wanted to do this one, I don't know if people don't like this, but where it sits in it like that. Let me get the lid. I don't know which lid belongs to it. Let me see. Oh, yeah, this glaze is kind of ugly. I don't like it much. Sort of, may just need to be really thick. I don't know. So that's that. Oh, the spoon fell out because I tilted it. Kind of like the Siebert white better, which is in here. This is the Siebert white, and it was pretty thick, which is why it probably had some bubbles in it. So, I don't know. This doesn't look like I had hoped it would. But that's the basic idea for the salt jars. They look very gardeny. I mean, they're for salt, so it's not like they're going to hold anything. This is the wrong lid. Hold on. Gotta get the other lid. I made them separately. I wasn't originally going to make two. Yeah. So the lid's not fitting too good. So I don't know. I may just keep it as a sample anyway. So this lid is not for that. No. That's a surprise. So the lid doesn't fit. It actually kind of looks like it might have warped slightly, the base of the jar. So this is it could be a vase, but Pete Pinnell's slip, I believe. There could be the other slip, I don't know. I'm also using a slip that can go into high fire ranges. So then it's just black underglaze painted on, and then glazed in Pete Pinnell clear. But that is supposed to be for soap. I have to cut. You have to cut the bases of these to fit. But that does fit. It's sitting kind of high. So that shrank a lot, and I believe that's Stan's red. That seems to have shrunk more than 10% to me. So that's kind of annoying, but it's fine. I mean, it sits up a little bit high. So I don't know about using it for soap. I have seen ones made out of terracotta. So I have to assume it's okay to do, as long as the glaze, and again, these were glazed where I wiped the glaze off, so I don't know. So this is a vase, again, terracotta vase. I've seen it done. I just don't know. So there's little cats there going around, kind of funky. And this is all done in Colors for Earth underglaze. So I went over the edge into the inside, and it's just dipped in the clear. And this one is another vase with skulls on it. Skulls and vines. Don't know what the color is here. I think it's called butterscotch. Something like that. Colors for Earth, I believe. Now the black is not Colors for Earth. That's Amico Velvet. So that's that. Weird little vase. It's kind of fun making weird little vases. But then there's just two more of these sitting there. These are going to be for candles. So then that's the cone right there. So it definitely was a hot 04, probably an 03, something like that. I'll have to look at what the temperature of 03 is. So I think for me, I'm probably going to lean into this more. I really like that look. Might be a little bit too antique for some people, but I like it. So it'll probably be on a different clay body that won't be purple. It'll be more. Let's compare. I have to dig out here. Pottery everywhere. So on the New Mexico APS red, it doesn't look so purple. This is the EM 106 right here. So that's the same glaze, and it just, for whatever reason, it's more purpley looking on EM 106. And it has more of a rich red color on the APS red. So that is it for that. It's kind of fun to do. It's kind of fun to do some low fire once in a while. That's it for now. And it'll probably be, I don't think I'm going to do a kiln opening on the next, because it's all my regular stoneware in the next one. So it'll be boring. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching.